week. Remember, it doesn't happen by chance. If you're trying to wing it and you're not getting things done, that's a reason. If you do not plan, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So it's all up to you.
Yeah, we are in control of our thoughts and our actions, right?
And our feelings. No one does you. No one makes you upset. No one. It is all on you. You have the ability to do anything. If you have your why, willing to know that anything that you want to accomplish that's different is going to take a different level of you, and it's going to take work and discipline, but we've all had to have those in our lives. We all can do that. Do not let any outside influence affect. If you give that control away, that's when things feel overwhelming and out of your control. But we control ourselves, and that's it.
Yeah, and again, that's the other reason we have this group is to motivate with positive, reinforcement. We all know what running does to us, how great we feel after a run, and so that's why we have the group, and that's why we do these lives every week, is to give you guys insights on stuff that we try to live by. Things we come across, we share with you guys. And that's the whole goal for this, but we want this to be a positive community because we're going into, as we said a while back, some turbulent times, and we need community. We need positive community.
And runners, we have that naturally.
Exactly.
That's why we do races. That's why we do all these things, because it's the one thing that we are the most, I think, inclusive type. It doesn't matter. It literally does not matter where you live, how old you are, how fast you are,
your background, where you live.
Nothing matters. If you're a runner, then you're part of the community. So that's we have that unique, already, as part of our what we do, and we have the discipline, because running's hard. Running those miles, putting those in, training, doing all that stuff is hard. So we already have the ability to do hard things. And we have the community. So now we just got to put these things together and be the healthiest version of ourselves while we're doing all this.
Exactly. And so today we're going to talk about running style. What I mean by running style is, do you run alone? Do you run solo, which is fine. We all do that occasionally. Do you run with a friend or a spouse like we do occasionally? Although she's too fast for me now. I'm going to catch up to her. Do you run with a group?
He has very heavy feet.
Yeah. Do you run with a group of friends? Or do you run with a dog? Because we have a new dog. We have a new family member this week, as some of you have seen us post, or Patty's posted in the group and on the page. So kind of a circumstance.
She's an active. Well, she doesn't know how to run well. I've been trying little spurts with her, but she darts in front of. So she needs a lot of work before she can actually be a runner. Like the Springer I had was an excellent running partner that I had.
Yeah, exactly. So today we're going to talk about just that in terms of what is your style. So comment below this video. What is your personal preference? There's no right or wrong answer. We're just curious, right? Because we all, depending upon a number of circumstances, will run in all these things. Because we've all run by ourselves, in a group, with a friend, or with your hopefully a 4-letter frag if you are a dog person, which we happen to be. So anyway, as we say each week, this is not medical advice. We're doing this to share with you guys stuff that we find appealing, that revolves around healthy eating and, of course, running.
Yes. But always parse it out for yourself. Do your critical thinking. Do your research. Never, ever listen to anybody. You take it for what you interpret the information how you need to, and then you do with it what you want. We're just putting it out there. We're not saying to do any of this. So
exactly. And so we've all made mistakes in our lives, right? And I love this when I come across it. Says, I give myself permission to leave the older version in the past, right? We all are, we're running to transform. We're eating healthier to transform so we can become the best version of ourselves, right? So we have to forgive ourselves for those past mistakes. I am super guilty of this.
Everyone is.
Everybody is, though, when you realize it. So,
but remember, it's going to take a different version of you, and it doesn't matter what happened in the past. It is what you do in the future.
Yeah.
It does not define you, and don't let it definitely don't let it collapse you.
Which goes back to what we were just talking about in terms of, like, take this information and use your critical thinking skills. You have the ability to do this. Give yourself permission to let go of the past and strive for a better future. So last week, again, real quick, we talked about, again, living to your longevity, your full potential. We talked about what is it? Really, it's about everyday activities. So you got to focus on that strength training. Functional strength training is critical. And those are the different ones. We went through some exercises, which is shown there. But we're going to do more of it as we go into the spring here as well. We'll dig into those exercises.
Absolutely. So now running is a unique, you can literally do it by yourself. You literally just need an open road and tennis shoes and, go out there. So it doesn't take a lot of planning, a lot of equipment, a lot of the stuff. And a lot of people, like I said, do it alone. There's great benefits to all of this.
And there's trade-offs, right? That's what we're going to talk about today. And we're just curious again, what do you prefer? Because we've done most of these. Obviously, when you're running solo, you can run on your own schedule, right? That's an advantage.
That's probably the biggest advantage for me. I always run. 95% of my running has been, well, maybe 90% has been, what my marathon training was, by because of you go when you go. It's you don't have to wait. There's all these things that being able to just get out there and do. We know running takes time. So running, but when you can do it by yourself and all that, you can fit that into your schedule that works best for you. So
yeah, exactly. You have more flexibility. You can pick out your own pace, your different route, and you have some time alone to think. Right, that's what we talk about. Running allows us to think. Right, that's the best part about it.
If you have a big problem, go for it. I say if you have a really big run 10, 12 miles, you'll either solve that problem or you'll at least forget about it for a while. So it definitely awakens the brain. It gets those endorphins going. It gets all that good energy going, and it gets the brain working.
Exactly. And the disadvantages, obviously, there's safety concerns, particularly for female runners, which is why I'm always concerned about her running sometimes. Right? If you're by yourself, you're like, I don't have that accountability.
There's no one that's saying, hey, I'm going to be at your house at 5 a.m. So be ready. So
because we've all been like, I don't want to do this today. And you have that running. If you're running by yourself, you just give yourself that excuse of, I didn't feel like it. But if you had a running partner, which we're going to talk about in a second, they're going to hold you accountable, which is why we have this group again. It's to hold us each accountable. Yeah. And you might get bored. Really, this is the monotony of it.
You do know the mile after mile after mile. It is long, and sometimes it can be really arduous. And you've all been there. We've all, most of you have been at that 10, 12, 16 mile, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? All those crazy things that go. So you're alone with your crazy thoughts.
So it's a good thing and a bad thing, right? Especially if you're at that point where your body's starting to say, slow down or stop. You don't have to do this. But anyway, so now we're going to talk about running solo, but with distractions. And what do we mean by distractions? It is now with our devices. We have these with us. But there are advantages to this as well, right? Like I was the one that kind of turned her on to listening to podcasts. She used to listen to music all the time. And I listen to podcasts now, and I find audible books. Oh my God, it's incredible.
You can parse out now super technical stuff I can do in Tame, but light stuff, you can actually get through a lot of information and get some really good things because it takes a long time to run those long miles. So you have literally hours and hours to get through. How many podcasts? There are a lot of podcasts that are great, but you look at them, you're like, oh, that's 2 hours long. Are you kidding me? But you're like, well, I'm going to be running for 2 hours. So here you go.
Or even break it up, like do an hour today or an hour tomorrow, a half an hour, et cetera, right? You can get through all that stuff. And again, as we know, running increases those endorphins. So it gets you thinking, and you can use your critical thinking skills. Oh, what a novel idea, right?
But it does give you, like, when those miles get hard, you have a couple songs that you can flip on, and whatever that is, if it's the thing to rock you, or that is for you, or whoever it is, that gets you in that, like, hey, out of that negative stuff, because we all get those negative thoughts when we get long into those miles. That's just those are hard things. So the music, those things can distract you, but it can also, people are working on their cadence. There's certain songs that are to cadences that can, keep your pace better. Your easy runs need to be more the mellow stuff. It can do that. And like I said, energizing song can really push you, those last couple miles when you're really like, I'm just going to stop now. So
exactly, it gives you that energy that you need to push that tough stuff, those miles where you're like, oh, I'm over this right now. Again, there's disadvantages. Obviously, it can be a safety hazard if you are not paying attention to your surroundings. You're so focused on the music up too loud. That's the key thing.
Yeah, he gets mad at me on that. He's very big in D, and I tend to my dismay. We should not take that lightly. And I run now with earpod instead of having two. It took me a while. He got on me for a while for that, but I'm like, it makes sense because
and it was the safety reason was my biggest concern.
Is you need to be aware of your surroundings no matter where you're at. So that's just a smart thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it ties into, it may distract you even from your form or your pace, right? Because if you're thinking of something, you're going to get off of that form that you're trying to do. And it becomes too distracting to take away from the enjoyment of the run at times, right?
Yeah,
this is a potential disadvantage.
Yeah, if you are listening to higher paced songs, your easy runs need to be that easier pace. Those energizing songs, while you can get them at the end, if your whole I'm sure you have tracks, that you've made of like, this is my 5K running thing. These are songs that are all going to be like, I absolutely love. They get me energized and all that. Now, on my long, easy run, I don't want to have that same thing. You really need to, if I was listening to that, I'd probably be running a different pace than I should be. So remember, you always have to be not distracted enough to where you're not keeping the pace that you need to for the workout you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So now you can talk about running solo without distractions. Again, you can connect with your thoughts and your feelings. Like Patty said earlier, if you got a big problem, go for a long run. And you're going to be able to think it through, solve that problem, get your feelings under control, or forget about it.
Yeah, and being out in nature, there is a trail running. That's when I trail ran. I never ran with anything, and people were like always shocked by that because they knew I always had to have something when I was just running in the park or running that. But I knew I need to be acutely aware of my surroundings when you're in a trail, but really focused on my form, on the ground, on the purpose that I'm doing, all those things. For me, it was easier not having those distractions, so I could really focus on what I needed to do to stay safe out there, to not get injured out there, and to, like I said, keep the purpose that I needed for those workouts.
Yeah, so a disadvantage of distractions, it can lead to boredom, as we talked about. And then it's going to lead to your lack of motivation. Those thoughts are going to start to enter your mind. Do you keep running? Do you want to do this? So that's a potential distraction, especially on the longer runs.
Yeah,
right?
It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to get out of that negative because you are feeling. We know you can run 1,000 miles. You're still going to have really good runs and really bad runs, and for no different reason. Some days are going to suck, and these are the times where you might need all of that extra stuff, to kind of get you through that. So
we just want to hear about it. It's going to amplify that feeling of discomfort or pain. Yeah. If you have nothing to distract you, you're like, why am I doing this? So we've all had that thought enter our mind on a longer run.
And they say running is always an argument between keeping going or stopping, so like I said, use music, use the distractions to your benefit on both ends of those.
Yeah, exactly. So now running with a friend or a spouse, there's definitely advantages. It's added motivation and accountability.
Yeah, you can set up that time, be like, I'm going to be at your house at 5 a.m., be ready. You're probably not going to want to disappoint that person. You're probably not going to go out and get lit the night before. So you can definitely get up and do that. It just adds that, keeping you on track a little bit.
Right,
more.
Which is, again, ties back to we have this group for that accountability, that motivation, right? That's why we ask you guys to post pictures if you want to.
And you guys have been doing that. That's awesome. Your workouts, whatever you want to. You guys are doing amazing things. We want to encourage you guys and applaud you for doing the amazing things you're doing. So don't be afraid. You're not bragging. You're sharing. Sharing is a great thing. We need to share that more.
Right, exactly. So it's an opportunity to socialize or catch up on conversations. Again, if you're running at a good slow pace, you should be able to have a conversation.
This is a good way to test your easy pace. If it's a true easy pace, you should be. And I hear when I'm running on at Ladybird Lake, people having conversations. Now they're whizzing past me, so I'm like, their easy pace is about 3 minutes faster than my easy pace, but I hear them talking back and forth for the short amount of time that they're going past me. That is a conversational pace for them. This really makes you really realize what your conversational pace is with your friend.
Exactly. So again, and then there's disadvantages, right? You might have a scheduling conflict, like you have that Saturday morning run planned at 8 o'clock or whatever, and something happens. Now you're so looking forward to it, and then something happens, and that's just
a factor that can potentially get in the way.
Yeah. So it can also be if your running partner has a different pace. So now she is much faster than me. I got to work to catch up. So it's a frustration for me, right? So, but that's just a disadvantage.
It wouldn't be good for him to run with me. And like I said, my friend Sarah, Sarah was so competitive with me. She would just run faster, just to run faster. And then I felt the need to run faster. And then they can be great friends, but you have to keep the purpose of the workout. If you're running with a friend on your long run, it's both a long run for you guys. It's not supposed to be a tempo run. It's not supposed to be. Remember, you always have to mitigate the accumulative effect of the stress. Running is a hard impact. So it still has to be the 80-20. You cannot be doing 50-50. If you're doing 50-50, something's going to break. It just will.
Yeah, exactly. And a potential distraction is just the conversations can take you off the purpose, right? So again, there's trade-offs, and there's definitely benefits, and then there may be a couple of disadvantages. So running in a group, there's definitely advantages. Michael, you've been great about posting pictures. It looks like you have a great group that you run with, which is it's really motivating. It helps, of course, keep you accountable. And if you ever run in a group of people,
that he looks forward to that. That's a great community. Looking forward to. We need we like to be around people that get our stuff. If when you're around numbers, they don't like to talk about running. They don't want you to talk about their running. But
they look at you like you're crazy.
But you get a group of runners together, and it's that instant bond, because we've all been there, and we need to be around people that know what we're talking about, because they've been there too. That's the beauty of it.
Again, it's an opportunity to meet some new people. If you've got if you've got a larger group, potentially some new routes, right? Or running styles. So you may have someone who says, let's go pick this route or this trail, and you've never done it before. So that, again, it opens up your creativity.
And information.
Yeah.
Everyone holds a different perspective of a lot of things. We need to hear people's opinions about a lot of things, and something that's worked or something that you've worked. It's just a great way to come together with a common thing, and it can have a lot of benefits.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but there's also some disadvantages. Again, scheduling conflicts. If you got a group of 4 or 5, a bigger group is going to be hard to really.
It's going to be hard to get a perfect time for everyone. Most everyone, makes it happen because that's what they want. But this is a big thing is you need to find ones that are around your fitness level, because we know runners, it doesn't matter. It's not age, it's fitness level, because there's a ton of women my age that are like literally 4 minutes a mile faster than I am. So age is not the factor that people think it is with running. People are killing it later in life. So find that group, make sure that everyone's kind of close. Ideally you have some a little bit faster, a little bit slower, but you can kind of grow with that group. They can challenge you a little bit, but they're not gonna you're not gonna be competing and getting out of the purpose. Remember, the purpose, especially if it's a long run Saturday or a speed workout thing on a track that you're doing with a bunch of people, make sure you're doing the purpose of that workout, because running is hard. This is all hard. This takes a lot of time. And if you're not purposeful with all your workouts, that's when we get into trouble. That's when we can get injured. This is a high impact sport. We have to really respect what it does to our bodies. So we have to make sure that we're keeping, like I said, in that 80-20, we're keeping those paces that need to be for us to be able to get better, but not wreck us. So
exactly. And then
that.
The last one is just if you have group dynamics, right? That's the only thing about, we all have personalities, which is you want to hear you want to get that experience of others, but we all have been there as well, that sometimes the dynamics are not good.
Yeah. It's, you're going to find one, and it's okay.
It's okay. Exactly.
You switch. There's tons and tons of running groups. Austin has, I don't even know how many running groups that they have here.
Yeah, exactly. So running, which which propagated today or motivated us to do this one, is we now have a new four-legged friend here. Not a running dog yet, but there's definitely advantages because this thing all got started because this one ran with a dog that was a new dog and had lots of energy.
Yep, that's how I started running.
Yeah, exactly.
I had to, because she was a Springer Spaniel, and walking just wasn't doing it. So I committed. I adopted her, so it was on me to get her the energy needed. So I wanted to start running, so we both, it was a win-win for us.
Right, and that added clearly motivation and accountability to her, as it can with you as well,
yeah.
right? Because the dog needs exercise, especially if you've got a hyper dog, right?
That will commit you to running.
Yeah,
now, I don't suggest to use that as your motivation by getting a dog to do that, because it is a commitment that doesn't go away. So you have to be really willing to do that. But like I said, it's awesome. It's great. They get exercise, you get exercise, so you really it kind of bonds you even more. I think.
Yeah, and you spend time with your pet, obviously, and then it can give you a little bit of safety and security because Absolutely. You've got that dog that can, for a variety of reasons, right? That's just common sense in that regard. But again, there's disadvantages controlling your pet. Again, this dog that we now have is not used to this. It's difficult to control her right now.
Yeah, right now
she's all over the place.
Yeah, she's. I'm working with her with the leader. We did about a half a mile, maybe, but I had to roll her because she just wants to dart, or she just wants to do that. So make sure it's safe for you to actually run with a dog, because that can really potentially, like I said, hurt you, or you stumble over them or something like that.
Right. There's trade-offs. So if you're going on a run where it's really hot and your dog is with you, you may have to think about water, right? Or you got to bring the waste bags. Obviously, depends where you're running. So that's just stuff to think about. Again, not a disadvantage, but it's extra time to plan and prepare.
You have to make
right?
sure you're planning.
Have to think about that, right?
They're not always going to be able to fit into. She didn't fit into most of my marathoning. It was part of marathoning that, I ran with her, Mondays, Monday through Friday, and then the dog parks on the weekends. But it gave me that base of running. But, as much energy she has, I'm not going to take her on a 10-mile run. Most dogs are going to, probably 5, 6, depending on how active they are, maybe 8, but under that's probably all they're going to do. So plan around that. Know that you need water, so do they.
Yeah, exactly. So it's an easy thing to forget, right? And then again, potential distractions or interruptions. That's what we're just talking about. Squirrels, because the dog is going to dart away, right?
My Maddie
very
knew that she could run a lot faster if you run at a park with Wash Park. If you know Denver, where I ran, tons of runners with dogs, and anytime a dog passed us, she wanted to catch up to that dog. So it was that constant of like, no, dial back to my pace, because I can't run that fast, So there's, like I said, that's some of the disadvantages of it. Can get you out of your rhythm of that.
So again, what is it with you? What is your favorite method to a running style, I should say, right? That just post in the comments below. We're really curious what you guys like.
You run with your dog, right? Do you run solo? Do you like to run solo with music, or with a friend, or with a running group?
Exactly. And as we've been saying lately, this offer still stands. If you guys are looking to get a little bit of help with your nutrition, our high school weight, we're in our 50s now. We will never, ever, ever, because now we know what to eat, right? And we run, we have full of energy. So we are willing to do that for you guys. If you want that, you're going to know if that's you or not, right? So there's that's really up to you. But you can just go to runtips.com runtips.us/call. That is runtips.us/call.
And it's a free, like I said, it's a free call. It's just people, a lot of times, people don't do access, seems so overwhelming, and there's so much out there. So if you want just a little bit of guidance, designated for, your needs, everyone's different, to get you pushed in the right direction. But like I said, a free call, give you a chat if you're having some issues with some running and some things that are coming up, anything like that. So
yep,
we're here to help.
Here to help you guys. So it's on the bottom of the screen there, runtips.us/call. It's that little ticker there. So get after your Saturday. Have a great weekend. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. And please put comments below. We're curious what you guys choose. What is your running style?
And feel free to post your picture with your dog if you run with your dog. Or Michael's always good about posting. He has a great
with his group. That's awesome,
so
Michael. Thank you.
That's you. Or you're going to post your run, what you feel comfortable with.
Yep. Okay. See you guys. Have a great Saturday.